Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, the Horror Boy. This is before we get into the review. I wanted to mention, because I did the review, but I forgot to mention that this was a requested review by a good friend of mine, AlkisenSuper. He requested this movie review back when I did the request, so I watched the movie, reviewed it. I figured I should mention that. He requested it a while ago. I'm sorry if it took me a minute to get to the request, but I was really busy over these past few months, and I'm gonna try and get to at least the big requests and finish those up, because I still have a few of the big videos I wanted to get to from you guys. So just be patient with me, guys. I'm trying to get these out there for y'all. I know you guys are wanting me to review these movies for you guys and had a lot of requests. I do apologize for taking so long to get these requests out there. But yeah, I'm not going to be able to get to every single request because I have a lot of plans moving forward and a lot of things I want to upload. But I'm going to try and get to the big, the ones that I looked at and I go, I do want to really watch that movie and check it out. And I figure I'll just take that request, I'll get to the main requests. I'm not going to be able to do all of them, but I'm going to try and get to the big ones. But yeah. This one was requested by AlkisenSuper. Thank you so much for the request, man. Hope you guys enjoy hope you enjoy the video. Hope everybody else enjoys the video and the review on Deep Red. But yeah, I'm gonna try and get to the other requests as soon as possible. I'll definitely try to knock those off soon. Again, they'll be kind of spaced out because I have a lot of stuff I'm trying to review. I pointed down there because I have like a big old pile of DVDs I'm wanting to review soon. But yeah, I'm gonna try and get to them as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for being patient. I really appreciate that. But anyways, AlkisenSuper, thanks so much for the request. I hope you enjoyed the video. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into my review of Deep Red. Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, the Horror Boy. Welcome back to some more reviews, and welcome to my review on Dario Argento's Deep Red. Now, this movie, probably, I would say, this and Suspiria are like Dario Argento's biggest movies. Like, these are the two movies that, before I even watched Dario Argento or even got into Italian horror, it was always two movies from Argento to watch. Deep Red and Suspiria. And I really loved Suspiria, and I really, really loved Deep Red. I absolutely enjoyed this movie a whole lot, man. I thought this movie was awesome. And I love just how Argento really knows how to visually make his movies look really interesting. But not even just that. He also does, even though it is about a killer, even though it is a giallo, even though it is about a killer and everything, and blood and gore and stuff, there's still stories to his movies, and like Tenebrae to me has a really good story, and Suspiria has a really good story, and I also think this one has a great story, as well as Opera. Opera's underrated. That's a movie that I don't hear much about, but, I love Opera. But Deep Red came out in 1975, gets a 7.6 on IMDb by, of course, Dario Argento. Now, I don't think this was the first movie he made. I'm pretty sure he made a few movies before this. I think he made Bird with the Crystal Plumage before this. And that's a really big film. That's another big Dario Argento movie I've always heard about. Says that came out in 1970. So yeah, that was way before this. This came out in 75. And then I think Tenebrae came out in 82. So did Opera. It came out in the 80s, 87. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Once again, like I said, because Dario Argento really knows how to nail a really interesting story with characters that are not one-dimensional. He adds little traits and characteristics to his characters and fleshes them out. And the biggest reason why I didn't watch this movie for a while is because it's about 2 hours long. It's a little bit over 2 hours long. And I seen that and I was like, man, that's a pretty long movie. But to be honest, it's paced just really well. There's not really a moment where I got bored. There's not really a moment where I wasn't into the story. And there wasn't really a moment where it seemed, dull and slow. It was interesting. And I think what kept it interesting was, just the combination of the acting, which most of it was dubbed, but a combination of the characters and different traits they have, and, how every character is different. There's not just a generic cast. It's different characters. And for the most part, I liked these characters. And the story, the mystery aspect behind this movie, and how the story was really interesting. And, like Tenebrae, the story keeps you into it for the whole ride. And like I said, the runtime, to me, isn't a problem, because it really gives the story time to not only flesh out the characters, but also really work on the story and get you into situations, and you're learning more about this killer and, why, what's the reasoning for this killer, who could it be? And I think that the mystery aspect to this movie, once again, is just nailed in this movie. I think Argento does a great job at nailing the twists and turns of his stories. And before I even get into this movie, I want to just say this, spoiler alert, because if you haven't seen Deep Red yet, go check it out. It's an excellent giallo. It's got great special effects. It's got some really good gore, and it's got some awesome scenes, classic scenes. And I'll get into more in the positives and negatives in a second, but the story is, you basically have this character who's a pianist, and his friend is drinking a lot, has a really bad drinking problem, and is kind of hanging out on the streets, kind of stumbles from place to place, and he's trying to help him out. And these murders start happening, because the movie starts out at this presentation. This girl there, she's psychic, and she is telling everybody what she sees, and all of a sudden she snaps and says, oh, I see these violent thoughts, perverted thoughts. And you found that the killer is in the room amongst the audience. And so the killer begins to target her and eventually does kill her. And the lead character sees this murder, tries to investigate it. And the one key to this scene is that he remembers going past a painting and seeing a face, but it's not there anymore. And you're kind of figuring out what that means and the mystery behind that. It's like, I do remember seeing a face in a painting, but it's not there anymore. Which you find out later what that means. And he's trying to piece together what's going on. Meanwhile, the killer's after him. The killer's murdering other people. And it's basically him and this reporter working together, which I thought their chemistry was really good. They had a good back and forth, and, it wasn't like a generic romantic thing. They had a good back and forth, and, you could tell, like, maybe one day they'd be in a romantic relationship, but it wasn't like a just generic part of the story. It was done well, and they both had interesting parts of their characters. I like how, quick thinking the reporter was, and just her playing the arm wrestling game and beating him, and he gets pissed off and leaves. Just good chemistry there. Well-written characters, and that's just how you do it. And if you're going to have an over 2 hour long movie, to me, this is how you do it. Just the visuals and, the characters and the interactions and their dialogue. It's really interesting. I think it's extremely well done in this movie. I do think this is one of the best Argento movies out there. It's one of my favorite ones. Which, honestly, I've seen pretty much all of them so far I've loved, which I've only seen Opera, this one, Suspiria, and Tenebrae. Tenebrae is my favorite. Tenebrae is a masterpiece. But I also really love the rest of these movies. Like, I love Suspiria. I love this movie. I love Opera. Opera's underrated as hell. But yeah, I love the interaction between these two characters, and I love the mystery aspect of it. I love how the movie opens up with a shot of shadows and then you see one shadow stab the other, and you hear a scream, and the body falls, and the knife falls to the floor, and it's covered in blood. I love that. I also want to mention the score, I believe by Goblin. I believe the score was done by Goblin. The score in this movie is freaking wonderful, man. I loved the music. Yeah, it says I'm not sure I can pronounce this right. Gio Gasolini and Goblin, and it says played by Goblin. So Goblin had a hand in the score. So, but the music, man, the main theme of this movie, I thought was so awesome, and the bits of music you hear throughout, I thought was really good too. Just a really good, moody, energetic score that really gets you into the movie. And really enough, I can see why this is considered one of the best Argento movies, because every aspect is nailed. You know, you're into the mystery, you're into the characters, you're into the music, the mood and atmosphere, the lighting, the camera work. I love the camera work in this movie. But yeah, the story, I kind of want to wait out on the rest of the story because I'll be getting into the spoilers soon. But to get into the quickness of my likes and dislikes, there's not really anything I dislike about the movie. I can't even really think of anything that comes to mind that I dislike. Really nothing comes to mind. Because as far as the things that I like, the pacing is done well. For being an over 2 hour long movie, the pacing is excellent in this film. You're hooked into the story. The story, I thought, was brilliant. The twists and turns, I thought, were excellent, and added a certain layer to this movie where you didn't really know what was going to happen next. And I like how they kind of swerve you for a second, because for a minute there, I was kind of thinking, oh, I can guess who the killer is. I know who this killer is. And it swerves you. And it catches you completely off guard. And even when it shows you the twist, you're still getting twists. So, like, it's really excellent the way it's handled, and keeps you into the movie till the very end. And that is brilliant, because not many mystery, slasher horror films can do that. Keep you engaged to the entire flick and really surprise you, and then surprise you again. It's kind of like Tenebrae. I was watching that movie, and that movie is full of surprises. As far as the plot and the story goes, it's just full of crazy twists and turns. But same applies to this movie. It has a great twist at the end of the film. It has a great story. The music, I thought, was wonderful. The mood and atmosphere. The mood and atmosphere is nailed in this movie. There are certain scenes that are generally creepy looking, and that have a very excellent, with the score going, with the lighting going, with the camera angles going, the POV to the killer's eyes, in some scenes. Those scenes are brilliant. And building suspense. Argento nails building suspense in this movie. It's not just blood and guts. There's also great suspense in this movie. There's a scene where, and I thought this was really creepy, where this girl finds a baby doll hanging by a noose. And that's creepy. And her bird, she has like pet birds, and they start going crazy. They start, being all loud and going nuts. And the lights all turn off one by one, and her doors are locked. And the killer, you find out, puts this really creepy sounding music box on whenever he kills people. And that whole scene, the build up to her death scene, and the way it's done, that whole scene was creepy, man. Or when the lead character, he's playing the piano, he's writing a song, and the killer enters his house. And so he doesn't stop playing, because he would know, the killer would know he knows he's there. So he plays with one hand and grabs a weapon over here with another hand, and then closes the door really quickly and tries to call for his friend and tries to call for help. Smart scene. It made the character seem smart, like he wasn't just dumb, like, I'm gonna get up and just go see who's there. Nah, he knew someone was there, so he just kept playing and, was kind of waiting for the killer to arrive because he had a weapon. Great scene and good suspense in that scene. You even see a shot of like just the tension, just the sweat coming down his like head right here. Just the tension of that scene was really well done. The kills I will get into because they are crazy. you have a scene where a chick just gets hit with a meat cleaver constantly, and the meat cleaver death scenes are crazy because you have it going in the shoulder, into her back, blood just going everywhere, and then eventually the killer just pushes her head through a window. She gets glass all up in her neck. Bloody scene, gory scene, crazy ass scene. There's another death scene where a girl gets like basically drowned in this boiling hot water in this bathtub, and the tension of that scene. And I even love how before she died, she tried to write out the killer's name on the mirror in the steam. And then they even do a brilliant shot where the window opens up and the steam kind of goes away, but this character tries to find out, you know, who this killer is, so he turns the steam back on, and it just says, you know, I don't remember if it's like, I know who the killer is, or the killer is, but there's no name. Excellent scene. That's so well done, and like I would have never thought about that in a film, but like that was brilliant. That's that little stuff right there that I think is brilliant to the story. And once in a while, I guess I can also add this to my likes. Once in a while, you have these really cool, creepy ideas. Like there's this little puppet that runs to this room and gets knocked over, and the killer kind of uses it to taunt people. You kind of see, like, you know, later on in the Saw movies, taking a little bit of inspiration from that. How there's the Billy puppet in that movie, and that franchise, and here you have this little creepy puppet just running to this room, creepy. Or you'll get these shots of like a table with just objects on it, and the way the camera just floats above the table. There's like knives, and there's, you know, baby dolls, and there's all kinds of creepy stuff on this table, and the camera and the score builds up and it's just panning over. I love the way the camera work is in this movie. But yeah, the gore, the special effects, the music, the suspense, the kills. You know, if you're a horror fan, it's got everything that you would love. If you're more of a suspense person, it has that. If you're more of a mystery person, it has that. If you're more of a gore and guts person, it has that. If you're more about characters and character development, it has that. So, this movie is amazing. It's a really good movie. Deep Red, definitely a classic. But I want to get into the spoilers real quick because for those of us that have seen the movie, we're kind of on the same page of just how crazy the twist is. So, if you haven't seen Deep Red, go watch it. Definitely go give it a watch. It's worth your time. It's an essential horror film, and I thought it was brilliantly made. I'm going to give it probably a 9.5 out of 10. It's just a really excellent film. So yeah, spoilers from now on. Go see the movie if you haven't yet because it's a brilliant film, but spoilers starting now. But I thought that the twist was absolutely amazing. How you found that this drunk guy, you know, when he was a kid, you know, because he's the killer. You found that this drunk friend of his is the killer. And when it cuts to the reveal of why he's the killer, it's just crazy. And the whole way that scene builds up, because when it reveals he's the killer, the cops come in and he literally leaves. And this is a hell of a way for your serial killer to die in your film. He walks out into the street and gets like caught up in this truck, and the truck drags him around. He's getting bloodied up. And the way that stunt sequence was, the way that whole scene was done was just crazy. But he's being like drugged to the streets, and a car literally just smashes his head into the road. Like you see the head just get destroyed in the road. It was just like, oh my god. That's a hell of a way to kill off your serial killer right there. Just, he's getting dragged out the street, the truck stops, a car comes and just smashes the dude's head in the road. Crazy ass scene. Definitely a hell of a way to end your movie too. But that's not where the movie ends technically, because when the guy thinks about it for a second, he's like, wait a minute. That guy was with me when that chick got killed in the window. So there's no, and even I was like, wait a minute. How is he the killer? Because there was somebody else in the window. See what I mean? It keeps you engaged in the story. It keeps you engaged in the plot. And so he goes back to investigate, and the extra face in the painting was not part of the painting. It was the mother to the other killer. It was basically the son and the mother killing people. And it's because they gave you a quick flashback. I guess it's because she murdered the dad in front of him, so it kind of traumatized him, and they both went crazy. And they both became killers. And that psychic chick kind of started up a new murder spree. Excellent story. And the way that ends, and he finally, you know, the way that she dies, too, I thought was just freaking crazy and brilliant, where she goes after the lead guy, hits him in the shoulder with like a meat cleaver. So her necklace gets caught in the process on this elevator. So he decides to press the down button on the elevator. The elevator goes down, and her necklace is caught in there. So it just squeezes and squeezes and slowly decapitates her. That scene was crazy. That was an absolutely nuts sequence. And it was a well-done effect and just a crazy way to end your movie. So the ending I thought was brilliant. But yeah, overall, guys, Deep Red, it's a masterpiece. It really is. And I can definitely see why it was recommended to me for so long by fellow Dario Argento horror fans. So, yeah, Deep Red, brilliant movie, 9.5 out of 10, somewhere around there. Absolutely brilliant flick, masterpiece, classic, really, really loved Deep Red. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching my little bit lengthy review, kind of in-depth review on Deep Red. But this movie deserves it, man. It's a masterpiece. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching the review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely leave a comment below about Deep Red if you like it. If you don't, definitely let me know. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Explorer Force out. I'll see you guys later. Peace.